Yo, what it do, home slices and home skillets? We are in here today learning some layers. We're learning how to make basses like Aweminus, some Riddim basses. We do use the Avant pack to help us out. Aweminus did make a pack, so we're using that. We're also doing a lot of layers and really getting it loud enough for an actual song. It's important that we learn all these things. Check it out. Check it out. Cool. You hear through each phrase that starts to change over time, and the tone becomes different, the pitch becomes different. That's what we want, to create variations throughout the drop so that the listener doesn't get bored. Also, we want to make sure that it all sounds clean and it's layered properly so that it's loud in the mix. So we'll go over all that. Keep in mind that this full project will be on my Patreon. If you guys want these sounds right away, you can just go get that. Otherwise, watch and learn how we do this. Show you the patches and everything too. First thing we got to know is the notes, right? So because of these notes, they're moving up in the scale. It's really nice. We're in E minor. So we start at E, and then we just walk up. We walk up to the third, and we walk up to the fifth. Those are the most important notes in the scale. And then basically we walk back up right here, and then walk back down, and then it resolves back home. This is a wide layer. Then we have this mono layer. The mono layer is in the middle. This is really important that we have this here. But we also want one with effects that's wide. So that's why we have this wide one here. And then we have some extra layers like this high layer at very low volume. Mid layer at pretty low volume. Then the sub, which is doing a lot. Big fat sub. I'll be showing this at the end of the video, how we can make this exact sub. Get your sub right. Cool. So those are our layers. Keep in mind this right here is 8 bars. And this half of it's 4 bars. So the first patch is going to have an easy clean rack. This is the loud rack I've been using. This is the Ravel Special. If I want easy gain, that's not too much. This is like a minimal loud rack that I use. Reduce ambience, OTT, saturator. Camel Crusher is not on right now. Usually it is on, but it was causing too much. I just wanted a little bit of saturation, so I just added the regular saturator. Then we have the reverb, parallel processed. So this chain has nothing on it, just the regular signal, and then we add the reverb signal as well. The reverb's on 74%, convolution reverb at a very short decay, and then it's turned down -8. We have both of these signals that make the wide verb and the dry. Then we have the EQ8 cutting it at 180. JST clip is clipping it at 0, 2 times oversampling on to make it sound clean. And then these are just to measure. Measure the width, measure the loudness. Cool. Well then, this is going to be the Swag 2 preset from Aweminus. The original preset was kind of out of control, so I had to dial it back so that it would fit in the mix. Now, I changed the distortion settings, so the drive. I changed the delay feedback, and I also changed the FM from B a lot. The FM from B is actually what we're going to be automating over time so that there's different tones. So if you look at the drop here, You'll see the automation here's at 27. Then this one's at 89 going up. And this is all the FM from B right here, this knob. And all you have to do is hit configure, click on that knob, hit configure again, and then you'll have this available to automate. So this tone sounds like this, like high pitched. If I moved it, I have different pitches because the FM from B is changing the sound. So yeah, so we're going to leave it at 27. I chose that because it sounded good. Sometimes if some of these notes don't sound good, then I'll barely move it and pick the right place so that all the notes sound good in this FM from B setting. This one. See, they're slightly different, but this is what makes it not sound repetitive or predictable. This one's just filtered out. Cool. So, if we look at the patch, we're using the first oscillator in 6 voices so that we make it wide. FM for B is on, 27%. Remember, we were automating this as well. And then oscillator B is the basic shapes. It's going to be on wavetable position 3. If you look, LFO 1 is going to be on the level. We'll turn both levels down. The LFO on both of the levels. Oscillator B goes up to 91. A goes up to 100. Then you make this shape. It's going to be controlling the push and pull. Oscillator A is also going to be on octave 3 plus 5. We are playing in octave 0 as well. These notes are octave 0. So if we solo, you'll also see the filter is moving as well, but it's moving with a different LFO. Create LFO 2, make a shark fin. We'll use this to control the movement, the tonal movement on the cutoff. So cutoff's at 608 going up 17, and the resonance on 25% going up 36. So that's adding movement. LFO 1 is basically creating the dynamics of the sound. If you look at LFO 2, it's also on the fine, on oscillator A, affecting the pitch slightly. It's not on the coarse pitch, but the fine. We also have our envelope 1 adjusted so that the sound isn't too big or long. Decay is at 259, sustains at negative 1.8, and attack is 101. You see there's like a delay at the beginning of each sound with the attack and both LFOs. Then we use the distortion. Originally it was just turned up, so I added LFO 2 to the distortion so that it pushes and pulls with the distortion. Sounds cleaner. And then the delay, this is the Riddim delay. Feedback is on 31%. We have it linked at 15. And then we have the mix with the LFO 1 on the mix going up 18 with the mix all the way down at 0. We're adding slight delay, not too much. Because we want full control. If it gets too out of control, it'll be too much in the mix. Dimensions on 31%, making it wide. Size is at 50. Compressor makes it loud. Gains at 16 decibels. Ratio's at 4. Then this EQ is just giving it a slight boost. Here at 4,000. Use at 39%. Gains at 4. This is the main sound that I started with. But I know the sound was too wide, so I made a mono layer as well. If you look at the mono layer, you want to have the same processing, but it's going to be different in the patch. So to make it mono, we change this to 1 instead of having it at 6. And we remove the delay, remove the hyperdimension, remove all the effects that make it wide, basically. Only keep the distortion and the compression. And then we have a regular mono signal. that's in the middle that we can blend with the wide. If it's only the wide, it sounds like this compared to. Now this will stand out in your mix and it'll sound good on all sources, like the iPhone speakers, MacBook Pro speakers. This is how you'll make sounds full, by making sure you have mono and stereo. And then the leads are just extra support, basically. Very low volume, both of them. We're also adding some distortion, like overdrive and OTT, onto these high-pitched sounds to give it a little distorted feel with the Riddim sounds. Then the mid is basically used to fill up these mid frequencies. The other sounds are really high pitched, so we just wanted something to be in the middle, then the sub would be in the lows. And we can combine them all without the sub. So that's full in the mids and highs, and then we use the sub to really fill out the lows and some of the mids too. You guys want to look at this patch for the high lead. It's basically one of his squares, but we use the envelope to make it really short. See both of these envelopes? And it's just more squares. These ones are simple to make, and you can basically go through your patches to find similar sounds. They don't have to be exact. We're using these to fill out the frequency spectrum, basically. That's off and on. Just a little extra, and then you can get creative with those layers, of course. But the sub is very important. Using a special analog BD sign. Then we turn the wavetable position all the way up to get to the sine wave. And then LFO 1 is going to be on the master tune. If you look at the matrix. So LFO 1, coarse pitch. Sorry, this isn't on the master tune. This is on the coarse pitch on oscillator A, which is this. This is adding a little bit of pitch at the beginning. Kind of like an 808 boom at the beginning. Turn it up. We only want a little bit. And then this LFO2 is on the level of oscillator A that controls the movement. So this is on 1/4 speed. We can make it go faster, like on 1/8. And you would move this too with it. Both put them on 1/8. Be clean. This is on 1/4 right now. The Riddim stable rhythm. Only a little bit of distortion on this. Without the distortion, sounds like that. This distortion is adding more harmonics, getting it in the mix. Now, if you turn off this kick tight, you can see it's doing a lot. This is a Corpus kick tight preset. Just search for it. It will help you a lot with your subs. That's the Sisto Special. EQ8. Clean it up. We're cutting it at 175. We're letting 100 to 75 go through. Lows, you can just kind of fade it out. You don't necessarily need that though. Be like that. We have Camel Crusher on tube warmth. This is doing a lot. Off, on. The saturation, we have two saturations doing a lot. Listen before saturation. Before kick tight. That's just the regular sub. Then we add kick tight. Then we add saturation after the EQ. Add more saturation with Camel Crusher. Pro Q. Cutting the mids. Cleaning it up. this utility is on mono with the gain turned up at 2. Then this other utility is turned up 2 as well. So the sub is very loud, basically controlling the mix, dominating. Usually the sub doesn't get this loud, but that's how they did it in C shanty. Erosion, giving it white noise on top. It's really nice and clean. Then we turn down the whole sub to -4, as well as the sub is going to this lows bus, which is turned down -3 as well before it gets to the master. Keep that in mind. Want to look at the master LUFS. That will show you real LUFS of the sub, which is -6. That's about where we want to be. We just added a lot of harmonics with all the boosting and the distortion. Got that sub right. Got the leads right. This is how we do it. This is how we win. If you guys have any questions, put them in the comments below. You know what it is. 1v1 lessons are going on all the time now. Things are going amazing. So hit me up. Let's see what we can do to get your drops right. Otherwise, have a great day. Fresh, real, later. Bye.